Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well this evening. We're going to have a little bit of ambiance in tonight's reading because I've just been, sitting here doing some work by candlelight. I don't know. When the sun went down, I just didn't feel like turning the lights on because I had candles going. And so I figured I really like the mood that I'm setting right now. So why not do a reading in this too and see what comes up, because different atmospheres pull up different energies. So we'll see. We're going to get into it shortly. But before I do, I want to take a moment to say, hey, welcome, 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 welcome. If you are visiting for the very first time, welcome. If you are, one of my original subscribers. I know some of y'all are still here from the beginning, so welcome. If you joined somewhere along the way, or you're brand spanking new and you recently joined from another reading, I'm so happy to have you here. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been a lot of intensity over the past 24 hours. I've been feeling specifically, and even talking to some people, it's a lot right now. So I hope that you're looking after yourselves in whatever capacity that you're able to do that. Okay, so in light of that, let me just say I also have a group Q&A coming up this Saturday, April the 26th. It's my Road Back to Wholeness group, where we will come together, and in all my groups we talk about where you are, on your own journey in ascension, but very specifically those aspects of your journey where you are right now seeking to overcome something. And for a lot of people who this group appeals to, it's those of you who are dealing with the material shifts, because Taurus season is really about the body. It's about the material. And when spring begins in the northern hemisphere, there's a lot of shifting into the clearing out of the body that is necessary to bring in the wealth for the next trip around the sun. So the astrological energies of right now are very focused on restoring the body, nurturing the body in all ways. And as a herbalist, holistic practitioner, naturopath, all of that stuff, I mix and I merge all of that with my TAROTSTROLOgy, etc. Tarot, oracle, my channeled messages. I merge all of that in, and ritual guidance and help. I love sharing how to create personal rituals to help you get to your next level. So we do all of that together on Saturday. It's a small group. So if you are available, or it sounds like it's something that might appeal, I will leave the link to purchase your ticket through Ko-Fi in the description box below. Okay, so let's get into what wants to come through tonight. I don't know, I feel like I want to go into one of my karmic fuckery decks. Let's get this party started with unveiling some ish. Mostly really the ish that we have to deal with within self also, really, is what it comes down to also. But let's see what's going on. Let me begin by shuffling. This card just wants to come out. Timeline jumping due to a divine union or contract. That card just wanted to make itself known. I'm not taking it. It might come out again. Timeline jumping due to a divine union or a contract. So for some of you, you might already be in union with a person. You're timeline jumping together. When that happens, there are schisms that occur for both of you. Sometimes it means there is some sometimes that means there is some resistance and interference in the union until you both stabilize your frequency. For others of you, you're timeline jumping because of decisions that you've recently made that are now putting you into alignment with certain beings, whether that's romantically or otherwise. We do have blood rituals wanting to make itself known, and your local nature spirits want to help, so reach out to them. We'll see if that comes out also, but it's making itself known too. Okay, so let's see. Oof. Didn't mean for that to happen. Well, let's read them since they blew out by themselves. Your guides are speaking to you through path working. You are ready to take this leap and are being helped in clearing the internal densities that felt... Okay, they're telling me take these. Okay, I'm going to take these 3 that came out, but I'm also going to continue to go back into the deck. We'll take the card at the bottom for more information about what these 3 cards are concerning. Okay, let's get another one. Cards are jumping, so there's a lot that wants to be said right now. As I said, that another 3 cards are coming out. I'm going to take them also, and the one at the bottom. Okay, so let's get into this first batch of cards. I've got to make my way around the microphone. So at the bottom of this deck, we have energies of sterility and infertility. So this is not... Okay, there we go. It's not really going to show very well, but that's what was at the bottom. And what came out is your guides are speaking to you through path working. They're showing you something that is linking up to give you a clearer overall way forward. So what I mean is that you might be getting bits and pieces of information that you might feel as if they're separate in some way, like bits of information that might not seem to have a clear thread as to how they fit. Don't discard anything. Everything's going to come together and it's going to make sense very soon. There are things that may seem as if they have not, in other words, there are things that may seem to have nothing to do with the other thing, but there is a common thread of unity that your guides are helping you to come together and see when the time is right. And they're bringing this scripture to mind. This is when when I think in I forget what book, maybe it was the book of Luke, I forget. Anyway, it's a scripture where they're talking about Yeshua and how, as a child, people would say things to Mary about who he was, and Mary kept all of those things in her heart. So it's almost like she didn't speak about the things. She didn't, she didn't go deeper into conversation or explanation about what was being said to her. She just kind of kept it in her mind, kept it in her heart, put it on a shelf for another time when those things would make more sense to her, if that makes sense. So there are things that are happening right now that you shouldn't discard. Put it on the shelf, keep it in your heart. It's going to all come together in some way, and it's going to make a lot of sense. You are ready to take this leap, and you're being helped in clearing the internal densities that fed old karmic narratives, which kept you in fear. Okay? And then write a decree or mission statement. Decide who you are and what your boundaries are. Put it in writing. So this is for someone who you've dealt with cycles where time and time again, the energies of sterility and infertility, you haven't been able to bring something into the fullness of fruition. Okay, so you keep on getting but so far only to be pulled back. You keep on getting but so far to building things only for them to come crumbling down. Building things only for them to come crumbling down. Nothing has seemed to stick. For some of you, this could be quite literal, and, I'm sending my love, to you if you've dealt with like literal sterility and infertility and wanting to be a parent. Okay, this could be for some of you spiritually rooted. There's a lot to be said about generational curses that come through coven activity, secret society, pledging, Freemasonry, all of that kind of stuff. Some of the curses that fall upon people have to do with infertility and sterility. It's one of the signs that that you're under some kind of familial bondage based upon certain individuals, sacrificing you, whether they know it or not. And I've talked about this before, about how pledging to these orders, etc., sometimes it's not an obvious sacrifice that people are asked to make of their family members, but just by, partaking in all of these events and allowing themselves to become a part, they are signing a contract with the entities that support those group activities. And in doing so, they are opening their entire bloodline under scrutiny and to be harvested. So sometimes it's just as simple as that. And then there are other people who, as they get higher up in these societies, they are purposely choosing to put people on the chopping block for the pursuit of what is considered success, right? So if you've been dealing with that and you're at you're at a juncture where you are feeling that happening again, you're seeing it happen again. For some of you, you're seeing some of the patterning that you've seen in the past before that happened, and you are like pulling back into that fear story of it's about to happen again. Then this is for you. Your guides are speaking to you in ways that might not make sense as it pertains to this situation, but it will make sense. But more importantly, you should know that you are ready to leap out. You're ready to break out of this cycle, this loop, and you're being helped in clearing some of the really embedded internal densities that fed the old story that allowed for this to keep on resurrecting in your reality. And in last night's reading, I did talk about how Easter time, resurrection spells, time release spells are, they utilize the energy of that season to implement that. So when you write a decree or a mission statement, you make sure to cancel all of those contracts, all of the possibilities of said things, right? And I have a decree that I just, I have one that I did just last week called Karmic Justice for Death Magic. I just released the audio version of that yesterday. I'll put the links for that one below. But I actually just I'm finishing up a new decree for you guys, which will probably be available tomorrow. When it is, I will put it on the community board. This one is very specifically for destiny swapping. Somebody wrote to me and said, can you please do a decree that is focused on destiny swapping? So I will be releasing that decree that I'm polishing up now tomorrow. So stay tuned for that one. The written will come first and the audio will probably come in a few days' time. Okay, so 22:22 on my clock. At the bottom of the deck, we do have the card self-image and body image. We also have, that's right below that they're telling me to show also, cursed objects or gifts. And this one is showing spider magic for ensnarement. Okay, now what actually came out is there's a person who is manifesting in your energy, but this person is doing it unconsciously. So these are the people who, in their own ignorance, sometimes woundedness, they don't realize the power of what it is that they're putting out there into the world, especially when they're connecting to another being. So, this is just a part of daily life, which is why your energetic hygiene has to be important. But you should also know that when you're doing deep clearing work and you're waking up some of this stuff that needs to come out, a lot of the time you're going to trigger people who also have that wound, or trigger people in a myriad of ways. They're going to be connecting to that energy, and they're going to respond to you by projecting what it is they don't want to deal with onto you if they're not beings who are doing the work and, you know, are highly self-aware. And even if they are, sometimes they'll do that anyway before they do the work, you know, because we all are human, still working our way through that. Either way, what you need to know is that you're in a stage right now that because you're doing this deep clearing, you're going to attract that kind of energy where people are triggered by the same healing that you're doing that they need to be doing also. And so as such, there's a lot of projection that comes when people get triggered. Okay, so just be aware of that, so you know that you are taking on a lot of other people's thoughts and feelings that aren't organically yours. So in that, a lot of clearing of your own energy field of external influences, but also very importantly, always checking in with yourself and asking, is this mine? And if it's mine, what is it really speaking to me? And if it's not mine, you know, sending it back. It's a really, you know, there are times on this journey where, you know, we're always doing self-inventory, but there are times when we're pulled in very deep places. Maybe this is why we're in the dark tonight. It's kind of like the womb, pulled into very deep and dark places in order to really get to the root of the issue, to stop it in its tracks, or to really take self-inventory because something is wanting to come to a close. Oh, speaking of a close, I didn't even see this yet. You need to close a portal around you. You need to close a portal around you. Okay, now this may be a portal that you have inadvertently opened. We are always opening and closing portals unconsciously, also with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our intentions. Sometimes when we are doing, you know, divination ritual work, we are working in that extent. Some of you, your energy fields you do have portals within them. Depending on who you are and what your giftings are, you know, you have portals within your energy field too, which makes you more susceptible through your general thinking, feeling, living, to being able to activate and open up portals too, consciously, but also unconsciously. Now, for some of you, this is where you live specifically. There may be portals that you're there to shut that shit down. And also, when we're dealing with the nefarious energies, there are beings who like to open shit to send things to you. Either way, close down every and any portal that is not there to help you rise into your highest, truest, organic timeline and doesn't support the full expression of your source codes. Okay, your guardian and birthing angels are speaking to you, so you're being called to do some kind of research. I do feel like this is there's something going on for you that's very locational. And the reason I'm saying that is because, for one thing, one of the first cards that came out is that your guides are speaking to you through path working. You need to close a portal around you, and that your guardian and birthing angels are speaking to you, and it requires some kind of research. I feel like some of you are breaking out of not only some kind of situation or some kind of cycle or loop that was causing sterility and infertility in your reality. I feel like it's also locational. So for some of you, okay, I'm getting a few things here. Some of you may have lived on a particular piece of like land or a location for a really long time, and you're still there. Maybe you've spent your whole life in that location, and it's time for you to break any kind of energy. It's time for you to break any kind of way that your energy has become bonded with the land in distorted ways, right? In distorted ways. And there's a myriad of ways that can happen, from people literally trying to bind you to places, yes, but on a completely natural level. When you live somewhere and you've been traumatized somewhere time and time again, that space will hold the memory of that trauma, and that can keep you stuck. So for some of you, and I don't mean just stuck locationally in that place. It can keep you stuck going through some kind of time loop. Even if you move away somewhere else, you still keep on repeating that time loop because you haven't taken back those parts that were lost, and you haven't given yourself permission to move past the loop in doing so. Okay, so for some of you, that's what's coming through. For others of you, you might not live in that area, but you still have a tie to somewhere where you were traumatized, like quite, frequently. For many of you, this is like childhood homes or locations. You need to even go into meditation and go back to those places and take back not only the energy and the parts of you that were lost, but it's almost like what I'm being shown is you need to go back there and like, when you have a stopwatch and you're timing something, and then you pause the timing, and then you can start it again. You need to start the time there again. You need to start the time there again. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm hearing. The time was stopped. So you keep on you keep on getting to a certain place in your life where you can't get past a certain barrier experientially, because you get sent back around. You get sent back around the same loop. You need to start time again. And then you need to update your Akashics to show that you've done that. That's a big thing coming through. I was just having this conversation with a client earlier on today, and I mentioned it in the last decree. When you do these things now, don't only just speak your decrees and do all of that. Make sure that you're also updating your records. So commanding that your records now be updated to show the changes that you've implemented in your own fields. You can do that. You are God over self. What you're doing is pretty much just correcting your timelines and the places where you've been fucked over while you were not aware that you had this power over self. Okay. For some of you, this really is to do with the place where you were birthed, which is why your guardian and birthing angels are speaking to you. There's some kind of research they're wanting you to do, and the research may have to do with the very specific location you were birthed in, the hospital you were born in, but it also might have to do more with like psychic research, so going into your own consciousness and getting information that may not be widely available or shared to you in the physical, but you have the records and you have the recollection, and there's something that you need to see and you need to know in order to start time again. I keep on hearing this starting time again. Somewhere time was stopped, and you need to start time again. Starting time again. Which, of course, I'm saying that starting time again, and 22:33 on my clock. Of course, that will have to do with Saturnian energy also. And I've been, I was talking to a client about this earlier today too. There's a lot of Saturnian energy I've been picking up on recently. They were sharing with me that they were seeing some of the same number sequences I've been seeing, which is, a lot of 77777. When you see, a lot of sevens, That is Libran energy astrologically, but it's also Saturnian energy. 7 is the number of Saturn. Okay, 7 is about bringing divine order back onto the earth planes, but 7 connects you to Saturnian energy. Good, bad, don't matter. It is a number that shows you that there's some kind of Saturnian energy or theme at play. Now, if you know anything about the false matrix, them fuckers used to love to mess with Saturnian energy for nefarious purposes. Okay, Saturn in and of itself is neutral, okay? But they used the shadow aspects and exploited that of Saturn in order to bring about what it is they wanted to do. And Saturnian energy, Saturnian magic is very powerful for messing with time, playing with cycles, trapping and containing. That's all to do with Saturn, okay? And even one of the cards that was coming out was about the spider energy. There's a lot of like old world entities that were like overseers of like egregores within the collective that were designed to keep beings in very specific ways of not only thinking but being, existing, and repeating. And the spider energy is coming up. The other entity I've been seeing being drawn out of people more is the squid entity, or the octopus entity. Sometimes, you know, it depends on how you see it. But I've seen it like pressed on people's heads, and its tentacles like going around the neck, but its body so far over the eyes that you can't, it blocking the third eye and even distorting your 3D vision. And then like when I saw it recently, it was like on the head, making its way off and out, you know. So in different people it's different things, but when I saw it, that's what I was seeing, the squid or octopus energy. Now there's also spider, a big spider entity that was utilized by the false matrix. And understand, overstand, octopus, squid, spiders, they're not bad creatures, they're beautiful creatures that have a divine purpose in the dream weaving that brings things into material form, especially on earth. But again, the architects of the false matrix like to take things that are sacred and desecrate them for their own purpose. So spider energy is here to weave a story and to bring a dream to life, which is why in a lot of like indigenous cultures, it's said that spider was the creature that created the earth, right? Especially in a lot of West African creation stories. The spirit of spider is a very powerful, potent, divine, feminine creator, right? And you can see that if you've ever watched a spider creating a web, why that might be the case, because spiders are very powerful at creating matrices. That's what a web is. It's a matrix. And this is why webs, you know, it's really a powerful physical expression of what an energetic matrix is. So all energy is formed upon a foundation, and then every cycle born from that foundation has to be true to the foundation. It cannot delineate from the foundation, otherwise the cycles collapse and the foundation will no longer hold. Okay, so this is what we've been doing. We've been seeing our cycles, changing our behaviors, recognizing the patterns, and in doing so, being able to get back to the matrix energy, that what it was founded upon, to be able to do the deep internal work. So really, if we don't discover and locate the matrix of cycles that we're seeking to end, then we are not able to fully annihilate that behavior or that programming. We're not able to fully get rid of it, which is why so much of what goes on in so-called spiritual healing circles is just very, very superficial and cosmetic in nature, because in order to change, you must disrupt the matrix, the foundational energy. It's not good enough just to see the cycle and to amend your ways. No, you want the cycle to be obliterated. You must understand the foundation and the matrix it was founded upon and recode that matrix, or create a whole new matrix to start new cycles. That's what we've been doing through Ascension on both an individual and a collective level. So spider webs, I don't know if you know, but you can touch one part of a spider web and it's going to have an effect on every part of it, even if you don't see it per se. So even the farthest part of the spider web, the vibration that is felt when the spider hits that, it's felt in the center, and vice versa. And it shows you how we connect also, okay, what's come out here? So here we go. Work with the color red. Passion, desire, blood and ancestry, root chakra, and anger. We do have social media and media break. Too many influencing voices and energies. Okay, so there's something that's wanting to be shown to you, and you're being guided deeply to be more insular, not necessarily, in your whole life, but more insular when it comes to locating this. It's a deeply personal story. Some of you are looking for the answer through someone else to give it to you, and there's nothing wrong with doing that from time to time, but there comes a time where the intricacy of your true story can only be witnessed by you going within. And that's when external information can become a distraction. Sorry, that's my daughter going in the bathroom. Creepy door. I need to oil it. Close your eyes and breathe. Meditate. Spiritual clarity. Getting into receiving mode. Do something that you're good at and comes easily to you. You need a confidence boost. Some of you are frantically searching for an answer, and you need to be still. And when you're still, the clarity is going to come. You need to be still. The clarity is going to come that way. You need to be less focused on a solution and more focused on tuning into the frequency. You need to do something that you're good at and something that you enjoy in order to raise your frequency to a place where you're able to receive on that level too. The social media and media break is also about getting you away from some of this collective energy that is fostering misinformation, fear, collective programming. Work with the color orange. So we've had work with the color red and the color orange. So this is all like lower chakra stuff, sacral and root. sacral and root. You're being prepared. Your material reality is wanting to shift. Your material reality is wanting to shift. Your desires, your true desires, are being unearthed. You're awakening to what it is you actually desire. The programming around what it is that you've been what it is that you thought you wanted is shifting, because you're getting back to the matrix, not only of the disrupted cycles, but the matrix upon which your source code lives. You are able to connect with your truest sacred desires. Something about your primal needs also coming up to be seen. Your primal needs. So much of what we desire primally, I'm not just talking about sexually here, but your primal desires that are really a reflection of your sacred purpose, that oftentimes are stymied because in this world we've been taught that you're supposed to be, look, act, move in a certain way that kind of kills that primal fire. There's some kind of primal flame that is reigniting within you. And it's physical. It's physical. The things that you might be craving things at this point that you don't normally crave. You may notice shifts in the foods that you want to eat, the textures that you want to feel. You might be feeling a lot more sensitive to things you weren't sensitive to before. You might find that things you had aversions to before, you don't anymore. There's something very physical that is changing in you also as this primal flame is reignited, and there's a certain remembrance that's coming in with it too. Oof. This is the end of this bloodline, lineage, or dynasty. Death of ancestral antichrist, anti-ascension entities. And understand and overstand, when I say antichrist, I'm not talking about it from the Christian perspective. Here we go again, further confirmation of what was coming out before. Pay attention, your guides are showing you magical links, okay? When I say they're antichrist, I'm not talking about it from a Christian perspective. Antichristed beings are beings that purposely disrupt the ability for your Christed energy to rise, your kundalini to rise, your ability to connect with your I am truth, your ability to have full connection with your divine identity, to have the wisdom of who you are. Those are antichristed beings. Okay, so there were a lot of them at play. There were a lot of them that had infiltrated into bloodlines. And for some of you, whatever it is you're going through right now, and like I said to you from the beginning, with this energies of sterility and infertility, that was occurring for many of you because of family ties to fuckery, to societies, to groups, to factions, orders, Freemasonry, all that bullshit. It was connection to that was pulling at your, that's what it is, sacral and your root, sterility and infertility. That's the sacral and the root chakra. So there was something where your sacral and your root chakra were interwoven into all manner of, that's what I'm seeing. It was like interwoven into all manner of like webbing that was designed to keep that part of you constantly ensnared. And so for some of you, you've done a lot of work of, clearing those parts, and and you found it very difficult even then to make some real headway. You might have made some headway, but it still would come up. Even if it's come up to a lesser degree, it's still come up. There's something here where you are being led out of this now for good. And if this is your message, this isn't wishful thinking. You're already seeing what it is I'm talking about. I'm just bringing confirmation. You're already seeing how the path working is leading you. You're already seeing how certain things are breaking, how certain shifts have occurred that couldn't occur before. So even if you're not fully out, you know that you're on your way out. Okay, so the reason why this is so... Some of you are here to like literally bring an end to certain bloodlines, lineages, dynasties. And I also want to preface this by saying that that doesn't mean you don't have children of your own. Okay, some of you have children of your own and you're still here to bring an end to bloodlines and dynasties, because what it is that you've created by having children is a whole new legacy. Because bloodlines in the false matrix, we're very concerned with blood as it pertains, bloodlines as it pertains to family links that are physical. But when you're dealing with, you're not just a physical being. So really what you're dealing with when it comes to starting a new lineage, the new lineage begins with in the spirit first and foremost. So some of you are literally, even though you might have birthed children of your own, even those children can be a part of a whole new lineage, and you can still be putting an end to a previous bloodline because you're shifting the entire frequency. Because for some of you, you were never meant to be in those bloodlines to begin with. Okay, you've been binded and brought back into their into those groups time and time again for harvesting purposes. And I've talked about this before, and that's what many of my decrees are here to deal with. I have one about karmic family fuckery that's very specifically deals with that, the quantum entanglement structures of the false matrix, where you were binded and you had no choice but to incarnate into certain bloodlines just to be here. So they're not really your family, they're not really your ancestors, because family is frequency based. True family. So for some of you, you're here and you're creating whole new lineages because you've disrupted the false frequencies that adhered to the false matrix, and you're bringing forth new earth frequencies, and you're bringing children forward in that too. For some of you, you've chosen not to have children at all, or for some of you, you haven't been able to have children, and maybe you didn't fully get why. And that's not me saying that you won't have children, because you still can, because like I just said previously, you can still be a person who's bringing forth a whole new lineage while having children, okay? Because it's a frequency thing. But for those of you who've chosen not to have children, it wasn't your desire to have children. Many of you, the reason you have that desire is because you're here to bring a real definitive end of that bloodline, materially speaking, to on the earth planes. Some of you are feeling, because of the pressure and the power of what is happening right now, you're feeling discouraged, and this is why you're being called to do more breathing, to take breaks from social media, and to do things that feel good and that you're good at, in order to give you a confidence boost and to help to remind yourself of who you are and what your capacity and capabilities are. Because this is heavy energy to be a person who is here to bring the end to a bloodline, a dynasty, or a lineage. That's intense warfare, right? Okay. I'm running out of space. I don't want to get rid of the cards because I want to be able to see them and revert back, but I'm just going to have to push them to the side. Okay, I'm going to go into the tarot. The Sun and the King of Swords as I cut. That's some intense clarity clarity that can't be escaped from the King of Swords and the Sun. Can't run away from that caliber of truth. I've been talking about that, on the community board a few days ago, as well as yesterday, about the power and the intensity of these solar codes for bringing forth clarity that cannot be denied, cannot be swept away, breaking the holographic coding of the veils that were designed to keep deceptive storylines running. Those that supported collective lies and those that supported our own inability to rise into the truth of who we are. The Tower is there. That was the Tower and the Seven of Coins. Taurus energy. That's a destruction of, I'm hearing that's a destruction of the blocks that were designed to keep you out of your own wealth codes, out of activating your own wealth codes in your Taurus field, in your energy body. I don't know why I have that Cardi B, is it Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion? I have that song WAP in my head. And here's a confession. I've never actually listened to the whole song. I just know bits and pieces. But for some reason, I've had that song in my, like the pieces I know, it's been playing all evening in my mind. I don't know why. Maybe it's for one of you. Now from the top, make it drop. It's that line. It's that particular line. 4 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. That's Libran energy. That is 20 to 29 degrees Libra. Yeah. 3rd decan of Libra. That was that recent full moon occurred in the 3rd decan of Libra. Yeah. I think it was like 23 degrees. So yeah. 4 of Swords anyway is all about recovery, rest and recovery. Rest and recovery to put you into receiving mode, but rest and recovery very specifically that is there to recover the mind, that is there to ease the mind. This is about this is also something to do with mind control. I got a download a few days ago that, we went through a really powerful collective purge, over the past 2 weeks, especially post-eclipse season. And what my guides were showing me is that a lot of the implants that were in us, in order to, the etheric implants that they'd placed in us to get our physical bodies to do certain things, those have been dissolving or being removed. The physical, the etheric implants. Very specifically, some of you had etheric implants that were plugging your solar plexus. And those were removed for some of you. Those were removed, and you're going to notice that your true magnetism and ability to now attract what it is you desire and you need is going to increase as you rise into your self-expression with the solar plexus energy. So the magnetism, that energy is there, but it's activated properly when you self-express without fear. When you self-express when you choose truth over false peace. Yeah. For many of you, this ties into that father message also, because it's that masculine energy, the masculine authority energy you were under in childhood that is there to protect your solar plexus. But oftentimes in the false matrix, that authority figure, which is for most people the father, actually exploits that or leaves the child unprotected. And so therefore allows other people to tune the child's solar plexus in accordance with their will. Because your solar plexus is where the seat of your willpower sits. And if at a young age it's programmed by someone else in accordance with their desires, you start to live your life in accordance with their will for you, even if you're not aware. Overarching theme, Ace of Swords. I love it. Ace of Swords. This is a new story. This is clarity that's coming through. This is clarity that's wanting to come through in this state, in the Four of Swords. There's something coming through, breakthrough information. Like I said, some of you are getting back to the matrix energy of the cycles and putting a close to it. I was just going to say the Five of Swords, because the Four of Swords and the Ace of Swords equal the Five of Swords. And I was going to say that this clarity that's coming is obliterating that Five of Swords energy where beings were constantly disempowering you by projecting false narratives, lying, gossiping, backbiting, using their mouths and their mental energy to tear you down and to create stories, weave narratives around you that had you living in accordance with their will instead of your own. And then looky, the Five of Swords shows up in the challenge position. Okay, so you're still fighting off some of these projections. Like I said to you before, when you are getting back to the crux of how an energy began, a lot of the time, the beings who also need to do that work are going to be triggered. And let me add, the beings who are responsible for you being in that state to begin with will also get an energetic ping, no matter where they are in the world. Some of them may have even passed on, but now when it is displayed to you on a conscious level, what someone else's energy has left within you, and you've been creating your cycles off of it wrongfully for years or decades, when you expose that energy, it begins to everything begins to balance out. So now they must take responsibility for their own wounding or reasoning behind why they deprogrammed you or programmed you wrongfully because of their own stuff, right? I hope that makes sense. So, for example, if your solar plexus was programmed out of alignment and out of true empowerment, and you therefore took on the will of your mother and father, who, disempowered you in every way you can imagine, right? But you took on their will for you, which was for you to continue to live in those cycles of disempowerment, whether it was conscious or otherwise, it don't matter. Energy is energy. So if you took on their will for you and you created those cycles off of that matrix that was created through your solar plexus energy, then when you begin to recover your own autonomy over self and your own will, then all of the ways that they were programming you into disempowerment because of their own woundedness, their own vulnerabilities, their own unfaced shadows, all of that they were trying to avoid and push onto you is going to start awakening for them to deal with. This is why I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with doing return to sender work. In fact, sometimes return to sender is an act of love when you're not doing it in vengeance. Motive and intention is always important. When you send people back, excuse me, when you send people back, the energy that they've implanted into your reality that has set you off course because it belongs to them, you are actually doing them a favor, because you are giving them back the responsibility of their miscreation. And without the ability to heal from whatever it is that they've just plonked into your fields, if they're not able to get access to that so they can heal that part of themselves, they're not able to, their soul is not able to properly evolve and ascend. So when you give people back their creations and miscreations in order to properly learn from it, you're giving them the opportunity to evolve. You're giving them the opportunity to rise. Now, they may not. They may just try to sling it back on you or someone else. But that will be to their own detriment. Excuse me. What you need to be paying attention to, is this just all swords? 9 of Swords. This is a lot of mental fuckery. You know? A lot of, I shouldn't just say mental fuckery. This is a lot of stuff within the mental body that's coming undone right now. And the mental body is how you think. I've been noticing a lot of psychic attack energy flying over the past few days, which is it's never weird around the Easter season. Okay, so psychic attack energy, when dealing with death magic, is often suicidal ideation. And understand and overstand suicidal ideation. One expression of it is the desiring to unalive self. Another expression of it is putting to death things that don't need to die, that you are creating. Okay? Because of lack of confidence, lack of belief, lack of faith, distorted ways of viewing things. It's all connected. Okay, so if you find yourself suddenly wanting to end something that was going well because something takes a turn, pause and wait. Okay, and find out where that energy, that those thoughts are truly coming from. Truly coming from. Truly, like their origin, their point of origin, their matrix. Find out where it's coming from. Because unless it's something that is really not for you, it's probably not your desire pushing that. It's not your true will pushing that. So yeah, 9 of Swords, this is paying attention to the things that are going on in your mind, being very vigilant, right? Guidance. Oh, finally, we have a non-sword card. We have 10 of Wands, which I love. Okay, so the guidance. 10 of Wands is the card of breaking the fuck out of dodge. Breaking the fuck out of dodge. And dodge, a lot of the time, are these fucking generational curses, family, bloodlines, ancestry, lineage. You are breaking out. You are making your way out. Like this pretty little mermaid, you are making your way out of the gnarliest of cycles that you've been placed into a lot of the time, again through family, through what it was that you were raised into becoming by taking on the energy of other beings' wills. You're breaking out of it with the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands, I didn't go through all of this. The 5 of Swords is Aquarian energy. It's the 0 to 9 degrees of Aquarius. 9 of Swords is Gemini energy. It is the 10 to 19 degrees of Gemini. And the 10 of Wands is Sagittarius, Gemini's sister sign. So 20 to 29 degrees Sagittarius is the 10 of Wands. And Sagittarius, of course, is the sign of the zodiac that connects us to the 144 frequency. When you break down Sagittarius and Gematria, numerically speaking, it breaks down to 144. Okay, Sagittarius on an astrological level is also here to break you free into your source code and your ability to walk it out on the earth. Okay, so again, a lot of these scenarios with families, you were put in them very specifically to stop you from activating your power so you would be able to do this. That's what the family institution in the false matrix was designed to do, which is why the family unit was one of the main objectives in how the false matrix taught us family was supposed to work, was to create these dysfunctional templates that would keep on repeating over time to ensure that generational curses would stay in place, and these ancestral entities that they needed to feed in order to keep their illusions alive would be satisfied. And this is what many of these families did when they chose to sign up for these groups where the false matrix promised them success and access and contacts and all that other bullshit. Is what they were actually doing was opening up their family to be fed upon these ancestral entities for the purpose of rising in the false matrix. Okay, so and in that, those entities know who to target. They know they need to target the ones that are there to awaken with their energy, the bloodlines, into the reality of who they are. They go after those beings very specifically. Those are the ones who we call the targeted individuals, chosen ones, whatever you want to call them, call us, whatever. It's not, the title's not important, but you should know that the target, the reason you are targeted, is these entities didn't want you waking up the entire group. So it's more efficacious to go after the main one that's going to disturb their peace, their false peace, right? Okay, I think I'm going to stop there because we're already an hour in. Okay, I feel like I should get one more card though. Maybe an oracle card. Let's go with the Sacred Traveler's Journey. Oracle deck 1111, 1111, 2311, y'all. 2311. Gates are opening. Okay. Ooh, 2 cards. We got dos. Miracles. Me likey a lot. Expect the wondrous to emerge. Miracles. What actually came out? Embracing enthusiasm. Shout to the heavens with happiness. So this is all about adjusting your frequency. And like the other cards were saying before, to do something you enjoy or that you're good at in order to boost your confidence and your morale, which boosts your frequency. Fellow travelers, support is all around you. As you rise into your true frequency, you call in all the support you need. You call in the true beings that are here to help you rise into the transparent truth of who you are. Those are the beings who don't need to project shit into your fields. They're secure enough in their own divinity to be a mirror to you of your beauty, of your power, and who you actually are. Okay, so that's what I have for you. I hope that this reading was helpful, insightful, inspiring, affirming. I do have specials on my soul recovery sessions, £33 off 60 minutes and 15% off 90-minute sessions presently. Limited seats for that. So I will put the links for those 2 things below. What else? If you'd like to hear from me on a daily basis, you can join me over on my platform, SOLARAH.xyz. This is where you can find my daily alchemy messages. I post on the community board sporadically. I actually do write those every single day of the week, and you can receive those by joining me over on SOLARAH.xyz. Those messages are for free. If you'd like to join one of the paying tiered memberships, that's where there's more exclusive writing, long form writing, as well as matching audio messages with that. So, and then if you're in my Jade members group, then you also meet with me once a month in a group setting. So we do have our Jade members group Q&A coming up this Sunday, April the 27th. I will be getting out the access information for those of you, but it will be occurring at 12 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 5 to 7:30 p.m. UK time. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm sending you guys so much love. I appreciate you. I thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this journey with me. And I will see you all again soon. Until next time, be well.